Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Hari Jamuna Tira Vanasari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Hari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Hari Yashodhanandana Rajaganarandana Yashodhanandana Rajaganarandana Jamuna Tira Vanasari Jamuna Tira Vanasari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jai Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Gaura Premanande. Jai Vishupad Paramahamsa Pri Vrajgashaja Stodhara Satya Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Shilabai Charanaravind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Iskandiviti Founder Shagya Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Harinam Sankirtan Ki Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Janitai Gaura Pimanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada. Om Agyan Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Takshurunbiritam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Sha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamame Hare Priye Vanchakalpatrudesya Kripa Sindhu Vyaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Dharam Chaiva Narotamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayesha Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahmasamitam Uttama Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swasyayanam Mahat. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, the Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gauda Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Sarabhyaya Namaha. Om Sarabhyaya Namaha. Om Sarabhyaya Namaha. Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Yat kripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our morning Bhagavatam class, continuing from the second canto, chapter 3, entitled Pure Devotional Service, and today's text is 17. Ayur Harati Vai Pumsam Udyan Astam Cha Yan Asao Dasyarte Yat Kshano Nita Utama Shloka Vartaya. Ayur Harati Vai Pumsam Udyan Astam Shayan Asau Dasyarte Yat Kshano Nita Utama Shloka Vartaya. Ayur Harati Vai Pumsam Udyan Astam Chayan Asau Dasyarte Yat Kshano Nita Utama Shloka Vartaya. Ayur Harati Vai Pumsam Udyan Astam Shayan Asau Dashate yat kshano nita uttama shloka varsaya ayur harati vai pumsam Ujan astam sayan asau Dasharte yat kshano nita uttama shloka vartaya ayuhu, duration of life. Harati, decreases. Vai, certainly. Pumsam, of the people. Udyan, rising. Astam, setting. Cha, also. Yan, moving. Asau, the sun. Vasya, tasya, of one who glorifies the Lord. Nay, except, yet, by whom? Chanaha, time. Nitaha, utilized. Uttama shloka, the all good personality of Godhead. Vartaya, in the topics of. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Both by rising and by setting, the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone except one who utilizes the time by discussing topics of the all good personality of Godhead. Kindly repeat after me. Both by rising and by setting. The sun decreases the duration of life of everyone, except one who utilizes the time by discussing topics of the all good personality of Godhead. Purport. And this verse indirectly confirms the greater importance of utilizing the human form of life to realize our lost relationship with the Supreme Lord by acceleration of devotional service. Time and tide wait for no man. So the time indicated by the sunrise and the sunset will be uselessly wasted if such time is not properly utilized for realizing identification of spiritual values. Even a fraction of the duration of life wasted cannot be compensated by any amount of gold. Yes. Human life is simply awarded to a living entity, Jiva, so that he can realize his spiritual identity and his permanent source of happiness. A living being, especially the human being, is seeking happiness because happiness is the natural situation of the living entity. But he is vainly seeking happiness in the material atmosphere. A living being is constitutionally a spiritual spark of the complete whole, and his happiness can be perfectly perceived in spiritual activities. The Lord is the complete spirit whole, and his name, form, quality, pastimes, entourage, and personality are all identical with him. Once a person comes into contact with anyone of the above mentioned energies of the Lord through the proper channel of devotional service, the door to perfection is immediately opened. In the Bhagavad Gita 2:40, the Lord has explained such contact in the following words. Quote, endeavors in devotional service are never baffled, nor is their failure. A slight beginning of such activities in a slight beginning of such activities is sufficient even to deliver a person from the great ocean of material fears. So, very important point. Even one may not completely complete one's devotional destination. The destination or the goal is to completely become freed from the modes of material nature, to become fully self-realized. Even though one is not able to do that, let's say in this lifetime, whatever percentage one may have done, that is to one's eternal credit. Once we have come up to, let's say, 5%, 10%, that remains there. We begin from there in our next life. And for someone who has begun devotional service, one is guaranteed a good birth. Compared to one who has not begun the process and who is simply under the modes of material nature, the three gunas, then his situation is very unfortunate because there is absolutely no guarantee that one will obtain a human form in the next life, isn't it? Depending activities of such an individual, depending on the consciousness, all these things. So this is significant here that even a slight beginning is sufficient to deliver a person from the great ocean of material fears. As a highly potent drug injected intravenously acts at once on the whole body, the transcendental topics of the Lord, injected through the ear by the pure devotee of the Lord, can act very efficiently. Oral realization of the transcendental message implies total realization, just as fructification of one part of a tree implies fructification of all other parts. This realization for a moment in the association of pure devotees like Shukadeva Goswami prepares one's complete life for eternity. And thus, the sun fails to rob the pure devotee of his duration of life, inasmuch as he is constantly busy in the devotional service of the Lord, purifying his existence. Death is a symptom of the material infection of the eternal living being. Only due to material infection is an eternal living entity subjected to the law of birth, death, old age, and disease. And the second portion of the purport here is the materialistic way of pious activities like charity is recommended in the Smriti Shastras, as quoted by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Money given in charity to a suitable person is guaranteed bank balance in the next life. That's interesting. Guaranteed bank balance in the next life. Such charity is recommended to be given by a Brahmana. If the money is given in charity to a non-Brahmana without Brahminical qualification, the money is returned in the next life in the same proportion. Okay, this is that report. If it is given in charity to a half-educated Brahmana, even then the money is returned double. If the money is given in charity to a learned and fully qualified Brahmana, the money is returned 100 and 1,000 times. And if the money is given to a Veda Padaga, which means one who has actually realized the path of the Vedas, it is returned by unlimited multiplication. The ultimate end of Vedic knowledge is realization of the personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Vedaisya sarvayar aham eva vedya. There is a guarantee of monies being returned if given in charity, regardless of the proportion. Similarly, a moment paused in the association of a pure devotee by hearing and chanting the transcendental messages of the Lord is a perfect guarantee for eternal life, for returning back returning home back to Godhead. But Dhama, Gatva Punarjanma Na Vidyate. In other words, a devotee of the Lord is a guaranteed eternal life. A devotee's old age or disease in the present life is but an impetus to such guaranteed eternal life. Yes. Reading the verse again. Both the rising and the setting of the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone, except one who utilizes the time by discussing topics of the all-good personality of Godhead. The last point Prabhupada is making is very appropriate for those who are in older bodies. Those who are, this is the difference in vision. Those who are materialistic, they are, especially when they are growing old, actually people, there's what is called the middle-age crisis. You know, when people reach around 50 years old, you'll find out very soon. When one reaches the age of 50, then one starts to, children are grown up, they start leaving the house, and then the body starts to be not as strong as before. What did you say? I get my glasses, I can't see. So many symptoms. Krishna is sending. It is part of Krishna's arrangement to remind us we're not going to be here all the time. So for some people, probably quite a few people, this is like a, there's a term for that, kind of like a crisis. And many people, they cannot go beyond, or they cannot solve, because unless one comes in contact with this knowledge of Krishna consciousness. So in other words, it brings all kinds of like apprehension and fear. As one grows old, this one passes away, this one passes away. And the older you grow, the more people pass away. And so if one is totally materialistic, then one doesn't like to think about it very much. But one day I'll pass away. Just like a few days ago, we were having a conference call, and one of the sannyasis was making the observation, and that yes, and in the next few years within our ISKCON society, we will be celebrating many disappearances, except our own disappearance. We'll not be there for our own disappearance. So, so the vision and the mentality of someone who is materialistic is that as old age approaches and advances, as the body begins to, that is the sixth stage, right? There are 6 stages: being born, developing, staying for some time, and having byproducts, then dwindling. The 5th stage is the dwindling stage before the last stage, which is death, actually. So for materialistic persons, this is this is a cause of anxiety and fear. But this point is nicely being made here, that for a devotee, one who is practicing spiritual life, old age is the exact words given by Prabhupada here. A devotee's old age or disease, old age and disease also, in the present life is but an impetus to such guaranteed eternal life. So the perception is very different for someone who is a devotee. For example, as one gets older, then one knows that, well, I have less time. That means that very soon I get an opportunity to actually attain, regain my natural and eternal position as servant of the Lord. And as Prabhupada also mentions that even if one has not terminated or fully completed the process, still his future is very positive. One is saved from the danger of falling down into lower species of life, which is very hellish. Other species of life, lower than the human form of life, have no, they're simply living out their good or bad karma, and primarily covered by motive, passion, and ignorance. So this is a very appropriate a verse here. By the rising and by setting, both by rising and by setting, the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone, except one who utilizes the time by discussing topics of the all good personality of Godhead. Yeah. Yes. So any thoughts on this? From the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada is quoting one verse. From the second chapter. The sentence is as follows: once a person comes in contact with any one of the above mentioned energies of the Lord through the proper channel of devotional service, the door to perfection is immediately open. And in the Bhagavad Gita, this is confirmed as follows: 240. 240, which reads as follows. Neha Vikramak Nashosti Pratyavayo Navidyate Swalpam Apyasya Dharmasya Trayate Mahato Bhayat. Yeah. And the translation. In this endeavor there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. Yeah. And the last purport of this, last paragraph of this purport, Prabhupada explains, material activities and their results end with this body. But work in Krishna consciousness carries a person again to Krishna consciousness, even after the loss of the body. At least one is sure to have a chance in the next life of being born again as a human being, either in the family of a great cultured Brahmana or in a rich aristocratic family that will give one a further chance for elevation. That is a unique quality of work done in Krishna consciousness. In the early days, we used to, when speaking to non-devotees, to new people, we used to explain like this, that you should try chanting Hare Krishna. You have nothing to lose and you have everything to gain. Isn't it? Because people who don't know about the holy name, who don't know about Krishna, are, or in general, people who don't know about something are a little bit hesitant. So, different arguments were presented so that people at least would try to chant the holy name. You have nothing to lose, but actually everything to gain. So that is the difference between devotee and non-devotee. A non-devotee who refuses to take up to this process will actually be losing everything, because whatever accomplishments he may do will all be lost at the time of death. But for a devotee, whatever spiritual activities he has performed, those are those become personal assets, and they are carried in the next life. The other difference also is that for non-devotee cannot be happy in this life, and automatically also cannot be happy in the next life, isn't it? If one is not cultivating this transcendental knowledge, then that means he will be unhappy, unsuccessful in this life, and automatically his next life is also very bleak. But the opposite is there for devotee, one who has this basic understanding can make this life successful by learning the science of Krishna consciousness, by coming to the mode of goodness, which automatically brings peace of mind. Most people are not having peace of mind. And one who is in knowledge knows what are proper activities, what kind of food I should be eating. So the chances of having a better living situation, even materially, Prabhupada explains that a devotee of the Lord, not only his spiritual situation is a source of happiness, but also his material situation. And even though the material situation may not always be ideal, one who is in knowledge is not disturbed as someone who's not a devotee. So it means that all around for a devotee, one's present life in this body, regardless of one's physical condition, is much better than a non-devotee. And also, not only is one's life better at present, but one is also guaranteed a better life after leaving this body. Yeah. Okay, we can close for now. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki. All the